just football. So we're like, okay, and that's what he chose. So, and then, you know, he trained all the time, trained with his dad, and then, what, is that another question?
Center back, but I play in the middle as well. But whatever the coach wants me to do, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. I have two small kids, so they love soccer.
Small.
Yeah.
I'm just messing. Go ahead, keep going.
So they love playing, right? So as a dad, I'm not a player. I watch. I love soccer, football. We call
Yeah.
all the time, right? So, what drives you? What drove you to practice, right? So one of the things I think in these days, I don't know, in your I think 17 years, not too back, a lot of kids are absorbed by devices these days,
Mhm.
right? So what really motivated you, and how as parents we can motivate for kids who really love it?
I think first of all, there's really nothing you can do. I think except involve them in as much football as you can. But it's really up to the kid how much he really loves it. Like I just immediately I felt a spark, and when I played, and I really loved it from the beginning. It always helped me feel better if I was feeling down or something like that. And I just remember just the first times playing and how much I loved it, and how much it just developed into this big dream of mine to play professionally. And I always think about my younger self, and I have to accomplish it for my younger self, and that's just what drives me.
And I can add one thing to that, because a lot of people don't know this, but I trained him. So I had him when I got him at 9, and I trained him until 12, and that's when he went to Europe. And so, like, the story I always give people, because a lot of parents think that it's the coach. Yes, it's the coach, it's the parents, but the most important thing is the kid. So what I mean by that is, and he can adjust to this, and this is me being like harsh. Maybe twice I had to ask him to train more, push himself, give your 100%. He was always there every single morning, ready to give his maximum. Like, there was no question. So that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe twice I had to say, bro, come on, focus, work harder. But he was just motivated and disciplined just to get the work done. So it wasn't like they didn't rely on me to say, hey, come on, Nick, work today. It was, hey, he showed up, he put in his time.
And he would come home and continue to practice the things that Kyle taught him. Like when Kyle told him, you gotta know how to juggle. I mean, oh my gosh, he worked on that. Even in the living room, our living room was his soccer field. I mean, he was juggling in there. He was doing little footworks, and he did stuff on his own. The things that Kyle, and he took that with him when we went to Cyprus. I mean, he was always like, set things up in our backyard to run some stuff like Kyle used to do, and it's always like, twice I think, or is it just more, twice you've come across the coach, I think, that reminds you. He has a coach right now that trains just like, in fact, he told me today, a drill you guys were doing, that Marcos does it.
Okay.
So when he finds a coach like that, he comes home, Mom, it was like Kyle, it's like I was with Kyle again. And he loves
awesome.
it. He loves it.
That's awesome.
Because it's, yeah.
And I do have a question I'd like to ask you guys since you're here. Because a lot of people, like for example, with this program, we tell them, hey, you can go clubless. Like, you don't have to play for a club. Nick played for a lot of clubs, but like, were you guys concerned about his club, or were you more focused? I mean, I know the answer obviously, but I'm just highlighting it for everybody. What was the focus for you guys between 8 to 12 before we went to Europe?
From 8 to 12, there's not really a point, I think, in playing in a team. I think what your kids should be doing with what helped me is just working as much as possible to get your technical ability and stuff like that as high as you possibly can before going into a club and being actually serious about playing. Because it doesn't really matter winning or losing or playing in a team. When you're really young, it's about getting better and as good as you can before you play professional or competitive. I mean.
Yeah, you always wanted to get better. I mean, it wasn't about. I mean, he hardly won. You got a lot of second places,
Yeah,
but he didn't really care about that. I mean, he never talked about. It was kind of like whatever. He just wanted to train. He just always wanted to train. Always wanted to train with Kyle. Always asking for more.
I want to let everyone know, I came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? So one of the main reasons that I came is my boys played for the club. I don't know about parents with my kids that they play, but even in the club, okay, I'm not talking about here, but I'm talking about the club that my boys are playing and the area that I am in. They really don't have the intensity, the level of intensity, right? So what actually they did, and they do even now, I have had several conversations with the coach, but I don't have any other club nearby. They just let the kids play and they start chit-chatting on the phone. They don't have really, the guidance, the guidelines, the techniques, whatever they need to do for a given session, hour and a half. And even going in the club, I'm not being negative, but I don't think it will really help if we are not into a good club. So I'd probably, individual practice that you mentioned maybe a very good thing. I'm not saying against it, but based on
Yeah.
my experience, we may not be able to get whatever we are expecting from the club.
That's all fair points. And again, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I can answer it, or they can take the second to answer it.
So I have a question. As a parent, how did you, let's say after while he was in practice or after, did you ever talk to him about the game or how he did or
Mhm.
yeah, and how were
Yeah,
the,
we always talk about, we give him our feedback and
Okay.
stuff, and
how did you provide that feedback? Like in what way?
just, I don't know, for me, I would just ask him, well, how do you think you did today? How was it today? And then, because they know, you don't have to, they know what their mistakes, they know what they've done wrong and stuff, and, sometimes we all get frustrated, because it's like, if he's like off on a day, it's like, what's going on out there? Because that wasn't you, we know you differently and stuff, and and sometimes especially when they're going through certain ages, like in their teen years, there have been times where it's like, you gotta bring your focus in, because they're kind of all over the place sometimes. You bring your focus in, because what you're doing out there isn't you. And then he's like, yeah, and then he so that's really the only, I guess, guidance that we've given him, would you say, or as far, his dad likes to take him out and, we'll work on little things and stuff. He's not a football player, but he likes to play, so they do some stuff together. But really, that's the only thing, just to bring your focus in a little bit. But that was like a couple years ago. Right now, he's 17. We don't really say much to him at all, because he's got it now. He knows it. Even diet, sleep, everything. It's not just about training too. That's something else you have to understand. It's everything. He's on vacation these 2 weeks, right? So he's not being as strict with his sleep, with his diet, as he normally is. And, it shows in his stamina and stuff. So. Plus the jet lag, it's hard traveling that far and not having
One
the
of the
jet
things
lag.
that I'll add, or if you're not done, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is what I've seen from kids that have been super successful, or players that have become super successful. The parents don't say a lot, but they'll do stuff like she said, hey, because the kid knows when they didn't do well. Like a kid that is serious and focused, they know when they don't do well. So you can ask, hey, what did you think of the game? What do you? And then for example, with Ben, if he didn't have a good, hey, what do you want to eat today? And then you take him out to eat and be like, hey, how do you think you did? And I think the best case, especially with kids of this generation, like the really young ones, video. But then when you show them video, you don't rip them. You don't say, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. Because you got to remember, right? All of us as adults, we get to sit on the sideline, we get a 180 view, we see the whole damn thing. The kid sees this when he's in the middle of the game. He don't see anything else. Especially at the young ages, they have no idea what they're seeing. They're clueless. They just see the ball and that's it. So we really got to be mindful of children, because you don't know what they're seeing versus what we see. Like I get to see in the sideline, be like, damn, why didn't you make this pass? I get to see the whole thing, but they don't get to see it necessarily. But that's why the video is so important, because you can show it to them. And what I do with kids is like, I'll talk to a kid on the field, they're like, oh, I didn't do that. Yeah, you did. Here's the video. Let me show it to you. And I'm like, okay, so tell me. They go, oh, I see it now. So, but you don't grill them for it. You just show it to them, and then you ask, hey, what do you see here? And they're gonna say, either they'll lie to you, like, I don't see nothing, or they'll be like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. But the video, I think, has been the best thing that I've ever used for children, especially the younger ages, because a lot of times they really don't think they're doing something wrong, or they made this play and they don't believe. Oh, I didn't do that. You did. It's right here. That's why I'm gonna show it to you. And then I think you had a question.
I do. You guys moved from here back to Cyprus. Was that just a matter of circumstance, or did you do that specifically to pursue his football?
We did it specifically for him. Our situation, however, was we had already lived there, because my husband's from there.
Mhm.
My two boys were born there. We lived there for 10 years, and then we moved back here. and that's when Nick started playing soccer, okay? So we had a house over there and everything. So the official
Yep.
thing is that we moved back for work. We did not move back for football, okay? And so that's the first thing they told us was, look, we want him, but we need to enroll him in school. Do you have a house? Do you have passports? You know, they were asking us these things, and our situation was, yes, we have all that, so it made it a lot easier,
Mm.
okay? So we just basically just moved home to our house.
Right.
And, that was all we had to do.
What was the determining factor to go back home, if you will, versus, you know, staying here a little longer? I mean, what was the?
Oh, you mean why we decided to at that point?
Yes.
Okay, a year prior, we were actually thinking, what can we do with him to get him out of America? Okay, we're trying to find a solution for that, because they have all these new rules and stuff, right? Where the kids can't move for football and stuff. So I actually took him to Barcelona and took him to the little FC Barcelona Academy thing that they have. It's not La Masia, it's the academy. And he tried out for that, and they accepted him into that. So we were actually thinking about me and him moving to Spain, and me finding a job and stuff like that.
Mm.
And then it was after that that we went to Cyprus, and then Apoel option came up, and so we thought maybe that's gonna be an easier transition for him to move, because the team that he played on there, he went and trained with them for 2 weeks to see if he liked it, and he did, and the level was much higher than what he was playing here. So we decided maybe that was a better option. So then it was, okay, in the spring, so it was in the summer where they saw him. And then the next spring, he went and trained with them. And then he went to a tournament, and then we moved in the summer. So we had been thinking about it for basically a couple of years as of what to do, and
It
then
was
it
slowly
just.
dipping your toes
Yeah,
in different
yeah,
areas, trying
yeah.
to see.
Yeah, and then the Upwell thing came up, so we figured, okay, maybe this is what we need to do to make that transition overseas, because it'd be easier for him to go somewhere where he's familiar, knows
Right.
the language and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's what we did, yeah.
And then to be fair, I'll add one thing that they didn't talk about, and I'll get to your thing about the football question. So like, he was always playing at least 1 year up here.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was middle of the pack, his age group, okay, let's go to Europe. He was always one of the best ones competition-wise, so he was able to play a whole year up at the top level, and then they were like, okay, let's look at options, because it wasn't that it was easy, but it's like, okay, there's more, you know, when you're in this country, you could be a big fish in a small pond. The level's nowhere near the same, but you go, and they can attest to this, when you go to Europe, you're like, oh, okay, this is football. Or you go to Brazil, it's football, okay,
Yeah.
because the level's different. That's why when everybody gets so excited about, like, you know, the alphabet soups, leagues, it's just like, you have no idea what you're talking about until you go over there. It's a completely different world. Now, she talked about it a little bit, so like, FIFA has relatively recently new rules where you're not allowed to move to a country for footballing reasons. So they were highlighting that they had a house, they had jobs and stuff. So you got to make sure, like, if you make that decision, you got all your stuff lined up, because if FIFA finds
Yeah.
out that you're moving for football, they can suspend your kid until they're 18. So you got to be very careful when you make those moves. If you do end up moving, you're moving for work
Yeah.
or personal reasons or whatever. If you have passports, you can move. It's easier. But if FIFA finds out, using the same thing, you go to XYZ club and you're moving there for football, they will literally suspend your child until they're 18, which means they can train, but they're not allowed to play any official matches. And then the clubs more than likely won't sign your child because they're not able to play. What's the point? They can go get another kid for free, it won't cost them. So just stuff you got to be mindful of. That's routes you want to take in the future. You're thinking about it. If you want to go to Europe, you got to start planning that now. It's not just say, surprise, we're picking up, we're leaving. You got to start mapping out action steps. That's
Yeah.
what they did. Good question.
Yeah, it was a process.
Joel, I think you had a question? We answered it?
I have a question.
Yes.
Please. Yeah.
So, the parents here, we all have younger kids. There's training, but maybe touch on a little bit of the training aspect of it when you first got to the club in Cyprus, as far as like a youth player. Because I have an 11-year-old kid, so just to gauge an idea of what's the intensity, how many days a week, how many times a day, you know, what's the schedule?
Before you answer, let me just tell them, because I have some people on my call. Hey, if you guys, parents that are on this WhatsApp call, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We have a question in-house first. But if you have one, just let me know and we can get to your question.
the biggest thing that I noticed right when I went there, like the first training session, was the intensity. It was a lot more intense, especially from the coaches and just in general the play. And we trained 5 days a week, and we would do maybe before trainings, just as younger kids, we would do some sit-ups, some push-ups, and stuff like that, and we would also do some ball mastery. But it was just a lot faster. Like right at the beginning, right at my first training, it hit me like wow, this is a lot faster. But it takes some time to get in the rhythm, but that's just what I noticed. The speed of play is a lot faster, and also the kids had a much better technical ability at a younger age.
More of them
More of
have
them.
the high, yeah. There
Like
are more
here,
kids who can-
here at the clubs I would play at, maybe like 4 or 5 kids had the technical ability to be able to actually play, but over there, almost all of them actually could play at a higher level.
And this is like, yeah, and you did a lot of, I mean, the one thing we noticed as parents watching his early trainings was they did a lot of the same things that, Kyle talks about, the 1v1s, 2v2s. A lot of that is incorporated into the trainings in the grassroots, because he started off in grassroots, right? So U12, U13, you went into U13 when you got there, right? So it was U13, yeah. So there's still a lot of that in the training, and then the scrimmage type stuff was like the last, half an hour maybe? Or
No.
15 minutes or longer?
Yeah, 10, 15
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah. But it was a lot of drills, a lot of passing drills, a lot of 1v1, a lot of 2v2 stuff. I mean, same kind of stuff that Kyle works on. That's what they do in the grassroots. And so I think and then, if you look back in the grassroots as they're younger, they're doing this same stuff and even more so. So that's why the kids, they can pass the ball, they can receive the ball, it's at a higher level than what he experienced with the kids.
And the other difference you guys got to understand too about an academy like that is that the kids aren't paying. They don't pay to be there. It's free. So the clubs can literally hand select the kids that they have. So they're constantly evaluating children to say, okay, release him, take him. So if somebody's not at the standard that they're looking for, drop, next kid comes in, they do it all the time. So that's why it's a little bit different here. Like here with normal clubs, except Orlando City and Inter Miami in Florida, they can handpick children because it's completely free. But the other ones, they're subject to what walks through the door and who's willing to pay. That's why the environment's different. So they talked about there was 3-4 kids that had level, the rest of them didn't have the same level. You go to any club, and Apple is a big club, but they're not the biggest. So imagine you go to Barcelona, the level is even higher. So it's kind of like here, there's like stepping stones. Like you're gonna have, you have the MLS Next is the ECNLs. That's supposed to be your top tier stuff. Could be, could not be, but the idea is the same. But like when you start moving your way up through there, every level step that you take, intensity goes up. So like he'll tell you when he played his first match professionally, he was like, holy shit, this is different. He's been playing a year up with the U19, actually 2 years, right? 2 years with U19, but he made the jump from U19 to the first team. He's like, holy shit, this is a different beast. Right, so every time you make that jump, it's going to be a gap, and then it's how quickly can the child close that gap. And if you don't close the gap, they release you.
Yeah. That was the first thing he said after his debut game where he played 10 minutes. He was like, that was a whole lot different than even training with the first team. It's just a whole different level, he said, when you're out there in the game. So, but then they played him 90 minutes the next match, and it was pretty good. It was fun to watch. But I'll also point out that what got their attention when he went over there to train was, I don't know how to say it, but you talk about freedom. How the kids should just be free to
Yep.
just dribble, and well, that's what he was doing when he was at this little camp. He was just playing free, having fun, dribbling people, just scoring his goals, just doing whatever he wanted to, and that's what got the attention of this coach. That then said, I want to talk to his father, and then he said, if you move back, give me a call, I'll take care of him. So that's why we decided to take advantage of it. But so my point is, Kyle played a big role in getting him to the level that he needed to be in order to be able to play. So,
Like a lot of people say that I have a weird aspect because we don't focus a lot on team. And the way that I frame it to people is like, if I focus on team stuff with him, he wouldn't be where he's at today. He wouldn't have been good enough.
no.
So it's because that we did a lot of individual based training. Like Joel and I were talking about last week. The individual stuff is so important because if you don't do it now, it will be too late. And so like if they don't have the skill set by 12, the chance of them being able to get to his level not good. Like the percentage will go way down and way down and way down. So like this is why like, and to be honest, they'll tell you he started improving late. He's 9. Like when I got him, they can tell you his level is not very good at all, but he was willing to work. So we were able to build him quickly because he put in the time, and he would go practice on his own. Like that for me is the biggest thing ever. Like I would train him 4 to 5 times a week in the morning with a group of kids that we had, but then he would go out on his own or be in his house or go out with his dad and practice more. And the other thing that they haven't mentioned yet is he did virtual school, starting at 9?
No. It was in my 3rd grade.
3rd grade. Right, so they
Third,
realized
fourth grade, he did.
they realized very quickly public school's not the way to go if you want to get somewhere, because you're in
Yeah.
school for 8 to 9 hours.
So he would train with Kyle, yeah.
Yep.
All the time, every day.
So we had a group that would train from 6:30 to 8 every morning, and then the kids that went to school would leave and go to school, or they would be off, and he would either call me, hey, let's do more, or he would go out on his own and do more. His dad would take him, let's do more, but it was consistently doing that every single time. And it was just every single day, and then like, the level will increase, but it's just the volume of it is the most important thing. So like if parents, and I've seen parents say, hey, you gotta go outside and practice. How many times your mom had to ask you to go outside and practice?
Never really.
Right, if you're asking your child to practice, they don't have the same level, which is fine, but they gotta want it first. If you're telling them, hey, let's go do this, they're not there yet. But the key thing is you gotta get them there. Once they get there, and he can tell you this, once they get there, then they just do it. So like juggling. Most kids I work with juggling hate it. Oh my God, it's terrible. He picked it up in a week because he just spent time. He's like, okay, I'm not good at this. Let me practice. But most kids don't like it. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. This sucks. It's terrible. Oh my God. No, you want to play football? Yes. This is one of those steps you got to take to play football.
And
Any other
one
questions?
thing his coach said, that when he first moved Topwell, one thing they said was, whoever trained you did a really good job. All of his technical skills, because they say he's one of the best technical players that they have. But then, okay, but Kyle didn't just give him like the foundation for the technical ability. I mean, you did a lot with his mindset, with his game knowledge, with his mentality. I mean, he helped him a lot with that too, because he taught what it takes. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it has not been easy to go through everything you have to go through the higher up you get, right? And I feel like Kyle helped lay that foundation as well.
And somebody asked last week when they were talking over there with everybody, and like, hey, how did you deal with not playing? So he's 17, trained with the first team. He didn't play for like 6 months, right? Didn't play an academy game, didn't play nothing. He was just training with the first team. They kept bringing him to matches, but he wouldn't play. And he was like, I just had fun. I'm playing with guys that are older than me. They're professionals. I'm not there yet, or I'm working to be there. They haven't given me the shot, but I'm patient. I'm waiting. He's like, I know it's coming, but I'm waiting. And like, I think that's such an important reframe, because again, especially the higher levels that your kids get, in pay-to-play club soccer, you're probably guaranteed a certain amount of game time, but once you get to a certain point, it stops. And so like, it's not like his parents can go, hey, why aren't you playing my son? He didn't play the whole game today. No, you want to play at this level? This is the cost of doing things like that. But the bigger thing for me was, he said, I was enjoying it. How many kids want to sit on the bench and enjoy it? Right, but you get the opportunity to learn from people in front of you that are in a better position. And then like, they went to the games, they got to sit there on the sideline waiting for Nick to play. I'm sitting there watching the game, waiting for him to play, and we're all like, why is he not playing?
I know, right?
Right, but you're just waiting.
This game. We think he might go in this game. Nope,
Yep.
didn't go in.
They brought him up. You probably heard of the league, the Europa Conference League.
He was in the
So they have Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. They
He was
brought him
rostered.
up. They
Yeah.
gave him, I mean, they assign you numbers. You don't pick the number. They gave him number 2. So when they're asking me, hey, what do you think he got number 2? I'm like, hey, that's a good thing. They would give you like 99 or 78 or some number like that. So I'm like, hey, he might play. Because I was thinking it was a group game. I didn't realize it was a knockout game. So I'm telling her, hey, he's probably going to play. They brought him up. I was thinking
Yeah,
group
it's
game, they'll put him in. And he doesn't play. We're like, what the hell, he didn't play? But you just,
He warmed up.
yeah, he warmed up. They put him on the side. They put him through his paces, but they didn't put him in. But we're like,
But
hey,
it was still
he's like,
exciting.
hey, I'm good. I'm happy. I enjoyed it.
It's fine.
You go through those things.
After his 90-minute match, they interviewed him on television, and he did such a good job, and he was just, his excitement just came through. And the announcers, after he was done, actually said something about that, how nice it was to see a young kid who's come up through the academy actually be happy to be playing. And even they lost, right? And Abel's kind of had a rough time this season, but they just commented on how his attitude and that his excitement that he had was refreshing, which was nice because it just shows that he wants to be there, you know, and he wants to play and he wants to work.
And the last thing I want to add before we get back to questions would just be like, I know sometimes it can be a challenge in your own mind as parents, but really if your child says, I want to be a professional, it's a long game you got to play.
It's long.
It's
a long, and his isn't over, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still, you know, it's gonna just continue on and on. But
and they're going to do stuff like this, and she already mentioned they go up, they go down, they go like this, and they go here, and they go here, and the number of times that I had to talk to him, be like, bro, it's okay.
Yeah.
We would do game film review, even though I'm here and he's over there, and we look at stuff and be like, hey, we did this. You just keep going. Like there were times where they're thinking, okay, maybe we leave, maybe we don't stay here. But I was like, hey, be patient. It's all going to come together, and it's just this thing that the roller coaster we call it. You go up and down like this, and you just eventually get to where you want to go. If this is why he said it, I believe it. If you don't believe it, then you ain't gonna make it. But if you believe in yourself that you can do it, you can do it. And so like I really wanted him to come and speak with everybody because I think it's a testament. Like the kids can do it, but they, as support, they need supporting figures to help them do that. And they got to believe themselves that they can actually achieve things.
yeah.
I think it's so important. Any other questions from anybody we can answer from here? Anybody on the call have a question? If you do, here's the time to shine. And please, there are no
Yes.
bad questions.
I will address some. I think did you ask about like the tablets? Who asked about the tablets? You did. So I mean, he didn't have a phone until he was almost 12. So I think that was one thing that helped when he was. I don't know how young kids get phones these days, but he's learned to manage it pretty well too. But so you know, his younger years he didn't have that, so he was always playing with his football. I mean, yeah.
And you guys might laugh at this, I just thought about it. I was developing him to be an attacking player. You know what position he plays? Center back.
Center back.
So when
Well, he's had coaches tell him that, why aren't you a striker? Like at Apoel, there's been some. At one time, he was training with someone, and they're like, "Why aren't you a striker? Because he can, you know, score a goal pretty well and stuff." Oh, but he's a center back.
So that's the thing. Like they don't care where you think you play. They didn't care what I thought he played. They're like, all right, you want to play? Go to center back. Want to play with the first team? Go to center back.
I mean, when he first went up to the first team, the coach started playing him as a right back. He's never played a right back before. That's where the coach wanted him to play, so he played it. You know,
Yeah.
and he's like, it's fine.
So how long has Beast been around?
Beast, in principle, 2017, but realistically, like when we actually started was a year ago.
So how did
Actually, a year and a half ago.
So how did mom come across?
How did they find me? I was training at a park in Celebration, Florida. That's where I used to live, and I had a group of 5 kids that were training. Or maybe it wasn't 5 of that, maybe it was 4, I don't remember the number. And then I think it was his dad came up to me. I was like, hey, I like this, what are you doing? I was like, oh, we train Monday through Thursday, and then boom, they came out, and that was it.
Yeah, he came home and said, "Look, I found this guy training these kids, and it looked really good. I think we need to get Nick into it." And we asked him, and he's like, "Because it's 6:30 in the morning, so we're like, are you willing to get up at 6:30?" He's like, "Yeah," because he from like age 7, 8, right? He started watching videos of like La Masia and academies in Amsterdam. Which one was it you watched?
Ajax probably.
Ajax, and he would always say that I want to go there. I want that kind of training. Like he would watch the kids. They would have some YouTube videos and whatever. I want that kind of training. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to go there. I want to go there. So from a young age, that's what he wanted. So when my husband saw what Kyle was doing, he was like, "It looks like really good training." And so Nick was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I mean, it was a game changer for him.
So was there a culture shock for you moving from one country to another, even though you do have the
No, not really, because my dad, how do I say, like the culture in Cyprus was always in my house.
Yeah.
Like that's how we as a family would.
Because he has 3 older siblings who.
They all play football?
No, but they spent more time in Cyprus than he did, like, because we lived there. He was born there, but he was 3 when we moved back here. So his siblings were older, so, yeah, like you said, the Cypriot Greek culture was kind of, has always.
Did you ever come across like a haze because of the fact that you came from America? Because I know that.
What do you mean?
Like it hates to the sense of like, oh, he's
Andrikos.
he doesn't really.
Andrikos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The-
he did.
I think the second or third year I was there, I was playing a year up, and the older kids, there were 2 or 3 of them that would always make fun of me or make comments to me about how I'm American and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like
But he went through it.
I should go back.
How would you do it?
I just would say stuff back to them. I would give it back to them, and I would say the same stuff to them, and we eventually just became friends.
Yeah, they're good friends now. But yeah, he had to earn their respect.
Yeah,
And
that's a big part of
about a year. He had to earn their respect, and he did.
It's a big part of playing
Yeah.
playing up a year and just over there, like going to a new team and stuff like that. And when you're playing with older kids, you have to act like you're a part of them. You can't go there and get
Timid,
sad
yeah.
and scared if somebody tells you something, because that's gonna happen, and you just
Mhm.
have to give it back to them, and you have to adapt to that and show that you're there, and then they'll respect you. That was also a big part of the first team. The first few weeks I was I was just there in the background listening to what everyone had to say and stuff like that. But after a while, you really have to get into the same rhythm as them, and I started talking to them, and I started being more of a leader and being able to talk to these big guys, and just you have to make yourself present, make yourself seen by them, and then you gain respect, and then it just helps a lot.
Because if you don't survive, they'll be like, send him back.
Yeah.
He's not ready for this.
There's a big mentality factor that goes into going through the whole process through the ages, and that's probably harder than training, the physical training. Honestly, right? Would you say?
Mhm.
It's so that's when the kid has to really want it, and that's when you see, yeah.
And
if you really
there's
want
one thing he didn't even talk about. Like there was times, I think this year they had 3 separate coaches. First coach fired, second coach fired, and they get the third coach. So every time that happened, they would drop him back to the academy. Like imagine you're training with the first team, you're doing it for a couple weeks, coach gets fired, boom, okay, you're down for a week or 2, and then they're like, oh, and then we would text back and forth, we don't know if he's going up. All of a sudden they're going, holy shit, look at it. It's just, again, it's part of this roller coaster ride that you go on. That's part of the journey, and they changed. Like they just brought in a brand new coach. We were talking today. We don't know if he's going to go with the first team, but they were like, yeah, he's going to go. But the coach comes in, he gets a hey, nope, you're staying with the academy.
Yeah.
That stuff happens all the time, especially when they start going to those levels. It's a different animal.
Yeah, and really, you have to just stay humble, keep your head down, and keep working, and that's what you do. That's what he does, because you don't know. Like he's in the stage right now where you don't know exactly. It's not like you're Messi and you're gonna have the contract next year.
Yeah.
You're gonna play and everything. So whenever you're called, you have to be ready. So you just have to keep working, right?
Just keep working.
How long do you stay at the academy level? Like to what age?
Our the oldest age group is under 19s at Abuel. So if you're at that age, if you're on your second year of U19 and by the end of that year you don't really make it as far as you think you should, then you're likely to drop down to lower teams, or it's a lot better if you go to the first team from a younger age, because then you don't get lost in that system.
Like they don't have a U18. It goes from U17 to U19. I don't know why they don't have U18, but so you end up going to U19 and then playing, and then half of those kids have a chance to play again the next season, and then maybe 1 or 2 will play a third season at U19. But the hope is by your second year, like he said, you're going to move on to the first team. And a lot of people, if they don't, they go to second division teams, or even they call them farm teams. They're like a third division, but it's not considered really professional. So.
And then I did get a text question. Somebody asked, they said, what advice would you give parents where their children want to be professional? Like, what advice would you give them? So, like, it's for the parent. What advice would you give the parent
Oh,
to help
gosh.
their child to be a professional? But for young kids, it was a similar question earlier.
Yeah, if they say they wanna be a professional, then, number one, I mean, Nick would be in Kyle's program if we were here, and he was younger again, definitely 100% that he would be here. But not only that, just, encourage them, let them kind of lead, but also you have to regulate their diet and you have to teach them, we're strong believers in this, you gotta teach them about diet at a young age. If they wanna be a professional athlete, you have to start young,
And
starting
sleep.
to teach them, yes, sleep, hydration, and, his hydration was always water or, coconut water. We never gave him the Gatorade and that sort of stuff until he got older. He does drink an electrolyte drink now, but it's all natural. We don't use like Gatorade and stuff. Cypress has this brand that's natural. I don't know, we're just firm believers in that because you want to, make your body as strong as it can be. And that's one question I've always been asked throughout him growing up is, what do you feed him? What do you feed him?
Question for
I
you.
feed him like actual good food, so.
Are you also training these boys for time being while you are here?
What
Is
do
he
you-
helping you in here?
He just steps in if he wants.
That's, maybe it will help, for,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
these
yeah.
young kids that, okay, I don't know how much they can take, but maybe it is better, than probably than parents telling them, okay, maybe if you give them, spend 5-10 minutes would be greatly appreciated. Maybe some kids may take it very seriously and understand what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, diet, sleeping, being yourself, and not just saying I want to be a professional player rather than putting time and effort and dedication and learn things by themselves, right? That's important. So maybe we would appreciate it. Probably all parents would
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
That might be something to do.
I guess the kids, because, we started teaching him at a young age. He said he wanted to be a professional, so we started teaching him at a young age, okay, then you have to sleep, you have to eat right, you have to, all these things are important, and I think it's really good.
And the way that I frame it is you're either all in or you're all out. Like, for example, you're gonna bring your kid to this program, they're training 5 days a week, next year they're gonna train doubles. If they're eating McDonald's, you at the wrong place. Like, it's just like, they do the wrong stuff. Like, they're gonna start breaking down very quickly. And then you're gonna come blame me and say, oh, my kid's not doing what he should be, he's hurt. Yeah, well, what do you feed him? What is he drinking? Well, how much does he sleep? Who is he hanging around? Is he just sitting there playing video games all day? Because, like, if they're sitting there in a chair like this playing video games all day, their legs are gonna start tightening up, they're gonna cramp up, they're gonna have issues. They gotta be, again, he was moving all the time. Question?
So, you spoke earlier about how your kidneys go on.
Kidneys
When it's
go on.
like where he just switches. So, from a parent perspective, when is the push to the point where it's like, I need to draw a line because there's a potential that I might be giving too much playtime and not enough recovery time. So what does that look like? How do you transform to, other than the kid doing it, but it's not happening as fast as you would like to, or you see other kids doing it to the point where it's like, you know what, maybe I need to have him just relax today because he did a lot yesterday. So I guess, what are the key, what are you looking for in that sense? In that aspect?
I can tell you what I would do. If he's asking for it, let him go. If he's telling you I need a break, break. But like, if the kid's not asking to go outside, I'm not going to force him to go outside. I might give him a reminder. Hey, remember, I might ask, what do you want to do? What's your goal? I want to be a professional. Okay, remember, if you said you want to be a professional, this is what it looks like. And then if they're not doing it, okay, then if you don't want it, it's fine. It's okay. But they're going to start showing you, like he did, hey, this is what I really want to do. But the way that I frame it to parents is if they're not asking to go outside, don't force them to go outside. Whatever, play, whatever. Or vice versa. If they want a break and they say, Dad, I need a break, then take a break. But you're not going to be sitting there playing video games all day. You can still take a break and still train. You could watch games, you could watch your games, you could go on YouTube and watch academies. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can still train without training, which he did plenty of. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add to that, but.
I mean, yeah, it's always good to tell your kid too that it's okay to rest. Like if he's, it's good to also take a rest day. The kid shouldn't. His mindset shouldn't be, I need to train every hour of the day. It's the best thing to do is to always rest when he feels like it. Just make sure he knows that you don't have to train every second of every day.
And I'll add one thing to that point, right? Like people ask me all the time, why don't you guys train for 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours a day? Like you've seen camps that go from 9 to 3, which is a 6-hour thing, and they're just training. And I'm like, my humble opinion, you can get everything you need in a 2-hour session if you have groups. Everything. If you do everything correctly, you get it all done. The intensity, everything's right, 2 hours. If you extend to 3, what I should say is once you go past 2, the level of productivity and efficiency of the kids start going like this very quickly. They're gonna need more breaks, they're gonna wanna rest more, they don't get the same amount of effort, because once they pass 2 and the intensity's right, then they're gonna start gassing very quickly. So people are like, why do you do 9 to 3 camps? Because they're gonna be done after 2 hours, and then what I'm running them on fumes. One, they're not getting the nutrition, they're not recovering, they're not resting, and then 2, they're just doing it every single day, and they're gonna gas out and get injuries in the long term. So that's why we do 2 hours, and then if they do stuff with us, they train again in the afternoon at 4, because then they get a break. They're resting, they're recovering, they're eating, and then they go again.
I have a question.
Please.
So, my son Wyatt, we found Kyle probably 3-4 years
Probably.
ago, thankfully. He was still doing privates back then. But, we started with, when he was just doing mornings only last year, and then we're at Beast this year. And for the last 2 years, he's been completely out of club. And it has been like the biggest blessing for him,
Really?
because club mentality was just completely destroying his soul.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot from Kyle about like how to parent and parenting through it, and we let him lead everything. If he wants to do something, we always tell him, we're like, whatever you want, we will facilitate, but it has to be your choice. I'm not going out of my way for
Yeah.
you to have it.
Yeah.
And so, I guess my question is, now he's 13, so he's U14, and he is gonna be on the club team this year, but the team that we chose is not MLS Next. They're a new club, so they're kind of they're building from the ground up, and that kind of felt more comfortable for me, just because I told the coach, I was like, look, I'm trusting you because your job is on the line, so I know you have to develop a team. You don't get to just, have the MLS badge and then have 3 kids and
Right.
disregard everybody else.
Right.
You have to show everyone in Orlando you can develop a team,
Right.
so you can build your program. But my question is, how much, once you did start playing matches in academy or club or whatever, I guess academy in your case, do you feel that the time on the field and training with the team impacted your development? Because we're kind of like, we're still on the fence, like, is this the right choice or not?
I think as I got older, it definitely helped playing with a team, because at those ages, at like 13 and at 13 and up, they had a plan. So every age group you went up, it got less technical and more tactical. So as you're getting older and in those older age groups, you don't really learn as much from technical work as you would when you're little. So it's a lot better to play with a team when you're older, like at his age, 13, to start now with a lot more tactical work, so he can learn the game and learn how to read it. So it's a good thing to be playing with a team as well,
Okay.
along with doing technical work.
Yeah, he's still gonna be here. So
Yeah.
Kyle can't go with us.
Yeah.
Haha. Think
Because
of the
that's
question.
The question is more for the mother. What made you pick now to switch it into club?
So because it was like, it took a full year for his mental game to not be so defeated. He was to the point where I was afraid. He was going into middle school, and I was like, this kid's gonna kill himself. Like, he is so mentally broken from the club system, where he just felt worthless. He didn't have any confidence. It was bleeding into the rest of his life. So after a year of just doing the mornings with Kyle, like, we saw his confidence come back up. He was just talking about his friends at school again, and just excited to be social again. And so this year at Beast, he continued his progress in his technical development, and then he started guest playing, and we started to see his confidence grow in guest playing, and the way he was able to come off the field having, walked on the field, never met the coach, never met the team, and still walk off in a good headspace. And so we were like, okay, you're in a place where you need to learn how to play tactically, because he would walk out there and you could just tell, like, they'd put him in a position and we'd be like, what's the feedback? They're like, he doesn't really know where to be. And I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, he's never played 11v11 before. So, I talked to Kyle, and I know Kyle's position on club, and it was really more, we know where Wyatt wants to be, U14, U15, or he's U14 now, but U15 is around the corner. And if he's really wanting to play for an academy, or, we're exploring the overseas option, like, he can't not know where to be on the field. And so I wanted to make sure he was in a position where he could learn that and not be expected to know. Because a lot of these clubs, like, you go and they're like, oh, you can be on the MLS Next team, or you can be on the NAL team, and then they see your kid out there and they're like, well, he doesn't know what he's doing, and they kick him off, and you're like, but your job is to teach him, like, why aren't you teaching him? So we wanted him to be in a position where he could be with a program that was willing to grow that program and to teach the kids the tactical side of it. But we also know that our expectations there were very limited. We know that the majority of what he's gonna get is still here with Kyle. It's just marrying the two things, the one thing he's not getting here.
So what was breaking him down? Was it the losses? Was it the team?
It was the coaches. The coaches, basically, they would look for the biggest and the strongest, and at the time he wasn't. He's had a growth spurt, so he's a little bigger for his age right now. I don't know how long that'll last, but at the time he was on the lower end, so he wasn't the fastest and he wasn't the biggest, and so rather than teaching him anything, they would just be like, oh, you're not good enough, and then at practices it would be duck hoops, and like literally no technical work, no tactical work, nothing. And then they would like, he was working with Kyle at the time, so we were seeing his progress, and even though his progress would show on the field and other parents would be like, oh my gosh, what's Wyatt doing, where is he training, blah, 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 they would take the one kid who had zero touch, but was super fast, and move him to the next team. And we were like, how, you know, you're taking the speed, but you're literally taking a kid who we've watched you try to teach something and he won't learn it because he's not practicing it. And then you have a kid who's hungry to learn and he won't. So he just felt like, there's nothing I can do here that's good enough, because he got caught in that COVID window where everything shut down. And so those years where some kids were learning, he wasn't. We just weren't on the field. And then by the time we chose soccer, I think he was just so far behind, and Kyle was the only one that was willing to teach him anything.
Kyler, are you always that exclusive with all of your kids?
What do you mean?
To the point where you obviously know every single one of their names, know exactly how they play, what foot they kick with. And obviously to Nick's story, where he can call you to watch a video with him in that sense. You think that was, I don't wanna say every kid, but to the point where they really are showing, like, hey, this kid has the potential to move forward.
So my dream is to help more kids like him get to the top. And so that's why I stopped doing club, because I'm like, you're not, I mean, you can get a little bit, like I got some juice out of it, but like I'm not doing what I want to do. So I'm like, why am I still doing this? And so if we see a kid progressing, yes, we'll invest more time into help them, because if we can help them get out of here, like my goal is to move them, but they got to show that they can do it. Otherwise, I'm putting extra effort into a kid that's like, well, they're not giving back what they want. Why would I put more time in? So like I saw that, like for example, I'm just very quickly, I'm making calls to see if I can move him now that he's. Nor what up? Now that he's played on the first team, that opens up a hell of a lot of windows, because they wouldn't play him in a match. Like they might take him on the first team, they might train him, they might bring him to a couple of games, but they're not going to play him unless they think he's got something. So now I'm going again above and beyond, because I'm like, and I told his parents, I'm like, hey, if he plays, then I can do something. We might be able to move him or do something. But now that he's actually playing, I can call people and say, hey, we got a kid, he's played 2 matches, he's been pulled up on the roster 8 times, or whatever it is. Look at him. They're willing to look at him, because like I had a club, a very big club in Brazil, the guy was like, dude, he's interesting. I want to see how he progresses. He's 17, okay, he might not go to Brazil, but you get the point. Once they start doing stuff, we can make movements. And then the last thing that I'll add, like from Wyatt's point, they were always at a big club. I'm not going to use the name, but they were at one of the alphabet soup leagues. And then the club that they're going to is, she said, brand new program, coaches that are investing in themselves to do this. So if you're going to use a club, that's what I would do. Because if you go to a big boy club, they're just going to throw your kid to the side, or they're going to use him. Let me rephrase that. If he's not good enough or to the standard that they want, they're not going to use him. And they're going to abuse him, is the way to explain it. And then on the flip side, and then I'll get to your question, would be if he's good enough, they'll run him into the ground, because then they'll say, okay, it'll be free, you don't pay for this, but they're going to exploit's not the right word, but they're going to use him or her because they're good enough, and then you probably don't pay, or you pay less. And they'll hey, look at this kid, he's in our uniform, he's wearing our thing. Happens all the time. Anyways, question.
So, like for the gentleman in the corner, he's from another state. What would you recommend for parents that don't have the accessibility to come here, like in that sense, to get this type of training? Like,
Pray to God.
I mean, other than watching a YouTube video from you or something like that, but.
Well, why do you think he came down?
Exactly, but for the ones that you can't make that.
Yeah. So I put together an entire thing. I call it the playbook. And literally I'm gonna use it. It's the exact steps that I would take with my son or daughter based on the current marketplace if I didn't have access to this. Because like transparently, me and my wife sat down and we're like, okay, let's do a test. Let's write down every single program in this area, Central Florida. We wrote down 77 organizations. We didn't find one that we felt would do person, student, athlete. There's good trainers, there's good this or that, but like you look at the way some people behave, the way programs are run, I'm going, I don't want to be his only coach. So I'm like, okay, this thing doesn't exist, let me create it. And so this is where the concept of the residency came out, because I'm like, where am I going to put it? Yeah, we go to this place, it'll last for 6 months. You go to, okay, it'll last for, or like, okay, then I got to coach them for the next 10 years. Why would I want to do that? I want to be dad. I want to sit on the sideline, have my mouth shut, watch the kid play. I don't want to be sitting there harping at, hey, you got to do this. No, I want to watch. That's why he's playing. I don't want to be his coach.
Happy belated Father's Day.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it's just. I think it's that. If you're gonna do club, find a program that values your kid. If they don't, then I would advise stay out, because she mentioned he guest play. You can guest play the hell of it.
So when you say values your kid,
Yeah.
in what aspect? Like the attention that the kid gets?
It's okay.
You okay? There, or you can use this chair. This might be more effective for you. Here, use the chair. No, I got it. So values your kid.
Like, for example, my coach has a great relationship with my kid. He
Yeah.
looks out for him, but there are times where, like, he's just not, like, doing something and he won't come on. I'm like, I want him, like, go talk to him. Because obviously, from a father to a kid, there comes a certain point where the kid's going to be like, yeah, but you're my dad. So it's like, you try to do one-on-one trainings with him and he's, like, goofing off. But when it comes to the coach, it's like, I got to listen to the coach.
Well,
That's their mindset.
I think that's a perfect example. I did not say it loud, but you explicitly mentioned that, right? I think that's one of the challenges I think every parents have. At least I have, because I have 2 boys, and when you go to the field, you know, we have set a plan, and okay, they do for a little bit, and they start goofing around, right? So I think it's common for this generation.
So, to best answer your question, this is just the feedback that I can give you, especially at your son's age, he's 8, 9. Okay, so technique, 1s, 2s, and 3s, and then how does the coach actually interact with the kids? Like, a lot of coaches will be on the side and they'll be standing there. Like, I'm very passionate about this because I have a goal. Not a lot of people, so maybe I'm a little different, I don't know, but I'm not going to help more kids like your son get to his level if I'm not constantly engaged with them the entire time. Like, I don't want to use the word require constant feedback, but feedback is very important. So like, if I see anything that I don't agree with, then we go in and correct. So like, I'm always working with our staff. If you see something, go correct it. I'm not saying you got to stop the practice, but you can go up to the kid and be like, hey, I saw you do this next time. If they don't understand, capture a video. If they're still not doing it right, show them the video. Okay, look, this is what I saw, this is what we need to improve. I think it's one of the greatest tools, but I think it's the engagement piece. And then just making sure everything is technical work and smaller sided. Now, if you're having him train at home, it's like, I think you use the 2,500 touch challenge I put together, right? Like that's a gold mine. Like he can practice that all the time. But the more he can do at home, the better. And then just that constant feedback that you get from a good coach that 1s, 2s, and 3s. Because like when I did his group that I was telling you before, like the start of this program, I only had 6, so we didn't go above 3 versus 3. But even if I did have more than that, I wouldn't go above 3 versus 3 because there's just too much value for especially American kids in 1s, 2s, and 3s. We don't have the culture of Spain, don't have the culture of Brazil, don't have the culture of France. We don't have it. So how do we create? I call it street players. How do we develop street players? 1s, 2s, and 3s. The reason why the club liked him so much is because they already talked about it. He was able to play freely, dribble, take risk. You're not doing that unless you're constantly repeating 1s, 2s, and 3s in an environment that allows you to grow, make mistakes, and then like I didn't yell at him for making a mistake. I would just correct. Hey, you did this. Why don't you do this next time? But a lot of coaches, and you've probably seen it from games, are like, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. You suck. How are you helping anybody when you behave like that? You're just wasting people's time. Does that at least help, I hope? Yeah, just up to feedback-wise, think about the question.
Oh, follow up to his question. Yeah. You mentioned you play with your dad or you practice with your dad afterwards. Like, what did that look like?
Well, you know, obviously my dad wouldn't do like things that I thought would help me. but the way I was thinking about it was just you know, at least I'm playing with a ball, so anything that I would be doing with a ball at my feet was gonna help me somehow.
There was a
And
lot of shooting too that he did.
yeah, anything he did, I just always thought about. I mean, at least I'm out here doing something. It's gonna help me in some way. It's not gonna help me. There's no way it's not gonna help me. It's gonna help me even if it helps just a little bit. So that's just how I thought about it, and so I just thought even if the training's not good, I'm gonna try and get the most out of it, you know?
So one thing on that note, right? So like, okay, your players, well, a lot of experience potentially. 1v1. Set up. You see me do it 100 times here. Set up a grid. You can play against them. Make them dribble you. Push them over. Knock them on the ground. How do they respond to that? Right. So if you don't know the exercises, don't do the exercises.
Yeah.
Do the game. Make it a challenge for them.
I used to just be a body standing
Yeah, there you go.
just to have something for him to like come up to, you know?
And the reason why I say the game part is like, okay, because I'm so big on dribbling that if they're playing in a game, they're going to play against kids older than them. So let them go against you, and then you shove them on the ground. How do they react? They're going to get upset. Okay, that's all right. Get up, do it again. If you do better, if you sell your skill, I ain't going to shove you to the ground. Sell it. Okay, great. They sell. Okay, I didn't touch you. You see? And then you're working with them on how to improve those things. So if you don't know the extra, like for example, I'm probably the most un-American American. I don't know squat about football. Don't know squat about basketball. I wouldn't coach that, but I could play. I mean, I can shoot a basketball, but I don't know how to dribble a damn thing. I don't know how to throw a football. I don't know how to. Somebody was telling me that safety. I thought it was an offensive position. I didn't even know what it was a different. Like I don't know anything about it. So, but I could play it. I'm not going to coach you through it, but I can help you. If my son says, "Let's go play," okay, we'll go play football. I don't know how, but I'll tackle you. Whatever. So that's the way that I would approach it, and something that I don't know super well.
Yeah, I would do that a lot too. Like I would come from his training, and I would remember things I was doing with him. And I would tell my dad, "Okay, let's do this, maybe." And I would give him drills to do sometimes.
Cool.
I love that. That was awesome. That was great.
That's great, thank you.
Any other questions? Please, again, there's no bad question. You got to ask because they're only here until tomorrow. This is the last day tomorrow. They head back. So if you got one, please ask.
I do have one last question. You mentioned the whole time you believed in yourself. Was there ever a time in which you felt like I want to quit? And if that happened, how did you get through it?
There was a time, I think, last year, where I was playing a year up with the U19s. So basically, I was playing with kids that are 2 years older than me, and the way that team was being run was they were giving time to the older players. So there were a lot of game days where I wouldn't play at all, which frustrated me because I felt that I would deserve to be playing. Like I was playing better than them in practice and stuff. So there was a small range of time where I was really down, and it was getting me really annoyed. And
There was a coach who was no longer with Ahuel, but
oh yeah,
the coach was playing a big part in it, and
yeah, there was this
Not doing some good
one
things,
specific
but-
coach that I had for maybe 3 years, and
it was.
for
challenging.
example, he would just treat me so bad. He would treat everyone really bad. And just for example, one thing he did was, we were playing this one game, and I was playing in the middle, and I was just playing a lot freer. I was dribbling and doing stuff like that. And there was this one point where I got the ball with a guy on my back, and I passed it back, and he yelled at me to turn, like I could have turned, and I yelled back at him what I was seeing. I didn't mean to like make it like ironic or like and he took me out at 25 minutes
Yeah.
because he thought I was speaking back to him,
And he wasn't.
but I wasn't. And he would do a lot of stuff like that. He would tell me if I tried to go forward to score, he would take me out and stuff like that. And he just treated me really badly. And
So that was a bad. It was a
and
rough
the only way, that made me feel bad a lot. And the only way I could really get through that was trying to work as much as I could so I could. I tried the thing of making him mad so I could feel better. So I would make him mad just so after a while he just stopped doing anything, because I would make him so mad at the stuff I would do, he wouldn't say anything
Just
anymore.
by playing, I mean.
So
because
I would just try to work as much as I could and really think about myself and what I wanted to do, because every time I would play football, the only thing that would make me happy is when I did what I wanted to do. So I made that my mentality of training to play how I want to play, and when I got in that flow of just doing what I want to do and not listening to what he would always yell at me or tell me and kind of just blocking him out of my whole progress, then that's what really helped me get pushed through that like negativity. Was doing what I wanted, not caring about what he thought, you know, making him as mad as possible,
But,
so he
yeah.
just stopped talking.
That's, you know, mentality is a big thing, and just to be able to recognize, like, this coach does not have my best interest, but being able to, like he said, block it, because, you know, knowing enough at this level, I mean, the coach was problematic with a lot of players, and there was a lot going on, and he's no longer there, but, just pushing, you just gotta, yeah,
That's why, like, I mean, what I took from that conversation was positive working environment. But again, the higher levels you go, you're going to meet, like, college. I played college soccer. Okay, great. Our college coach was the nicest guy off the field, or my college coach. But when he stepped on the field, dude, he was telling us this, you're that. Oh, man, and you're just sitting there going, dude, do you really want to go through this? Like, do you want to? If you treat people poorly, but it happens at every level. Like, a lot of adults sometimes don't know how to work with kids or work with other people. So, like, I mean, I'm not going to say it on camera, but he was like, F this, F you. Like, we played one game, we lost. All of us in front of him, he's like, F every single one of you. I'm going to get rid of all of you. Like, there's people that will do that. So, at that point, to his thing, it's like you either fight through that and say, okay, I'm still going to work for this, or you quit. And that's the conversation that we're talking about now. It's you either work through that. I could have quit. Like, my cousin, he played Division I. He just quit. He played 2 seasons. I think he played a total of maybe 90 minutes in 2 seasons, quit. Like, why? He's like, I wasn't having fun anymore. So he didn't love it enough to keep pushing through that barrier. The kid has to get to a point where they really love it enough, because he came through club the entire way through. He played ECNL, MLS, Next Level, played the entire game the entire time. Then he goes to college, doesn't play the first season. He talked to me about it. I'm talking to him, and I'm like, bro, you're at college now, well, a different beast. Second year, he's like, I quit, I won't play more. I think he played another 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, he's done. He doesn't deserve it. But you're going to have those barriers. It's either you push through and break it, or you don't, you quit. How do you respond to it? Or more importantly, how do they respond to it? Because, I mean, be honest, a lot of you have had poor coaches, right? I mean, Bethany just talked about it for why it had poor coach, year after year.
I think it's just important to talk to your kids when you see that they're down about their coaches or how the team's being run or playing time. You just, you know, talk to them about, okay, do you love it enough to push through and to keep working? You know, sometimes the option might be to switch teams to find a coach that it's harder in Cyprus when you're in a professional academy, because you can't just decide to leave one day. But, you know, here he went through, how many clubs were you were at? 1, 2, 3, 4 different clubs? Because we would move him if, you know, he wasn't happy. We'd find a coach that, and then when Kyle started his program is when we left, or he was gonna start playing for him.
But for a lot of you, like, really, I know it sounds kind of strange, you can actually go clubless. Why did it?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, with your program, I think it is the best thing to do. Now, once you get to, so in Cyprus, academy starts at U14, and that's when they start implementing more tactical, and so you start learning, but it's all, grassroots is all technical, you know, you're learning all these things over and over, and so they have a better foundation once, and they're ready to go at U14 to start learning tactical. But what happens with a lot of players, though, like, I don't think you should stop your technical training at that age. Do you agree? Because what happened then at U14, U15, U16, these ages, the kids just kind of, the coaching is more towards tactical, and the kids aren't doing things on their own. They're not doing anything extra.
Which
So-
they expect you. They expect team training to be more tactical. So they expect you to be doing stuff on your own.
Yeah.
You go there to learn tactics. You don't go there to be working on your
So
technical
then
ability.
what happens is you start seeing a split then in the kids. You see some who do the extra work and who do off-season training and stuff. They keep rising, and you see the other ones just staying the same. So then when you get them together in a team, it's like, why aren't you, because the ones who practice, they're now passing the ball harder. Well, now my teammate can't receive the ball anymore because they're not keeping up with their technical work. And you start seeing a split, so that's kind of what happens, at least in Cyprus, because it's not as a high level as like Spain or somewhere. But when we first went over, all the kids were at a higher level than what he was playing at a year. He was playing a year up here. He played his age group when he went over there, and they were at a higher level than the year up over here.
I still remember
if
you
that
guys,
makes sense.
you went on that trial for the 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and they called me the same day, and they're like, holy shit, and he was like, it's fast.
It was fast.
Fast.
A lot faster than what he was used to.
And he was
And-
playing a year up here at the high, he was playing, it was called
Yeah.
DA before MLS Next, and so that's what the top
Yeah.
level used to be, and he was playing DA, and not the same. So that's why I always say it's, here you're a big fish in a small pond, you go to Europe, or you, yeah, it's different.
Oh, tell them what you said about playing, that when you played 90 minutes, about the, you can't say, you don't have time to think.
Oh yeah, when you get to that level, like I was doing stuff just out of second nature. I did not have any time to think about what I was doing. Like there were points where I would do something, and then maybe the ball was in another area in the field, and I was like, you just have to be concentrated the whole 90 minutes. And after the game, I was more tired mentally than I was physically because there's no zoning out. If you zone out even for 1 second, you're done. Like the game's finished. So that's a really big part of it. You have to be so. You
Like,
have
you
to
can't be
be
thinking
so.
about
Yeah,
what
you
your
have to be
feet's
so
doing, right?
developed in knowing what you're gonna do when you get the ball and just your technical ability that you have to be able to do it without even thinking.
Questions? Any questions from anybody on the call real quick before we end it? We're almost done. We should be wrapping up in a second. So if you got a question on the call, please feel free to ask.
Hi, Coach Kai.
Hey.
My mom wanted you to check your messages because she has like a question in there.
Okay, can she send it to this phone? Because the other phone I'm using to record the call. Yeah, somebody could probably send it on that phone, right? Yeah, send it to this phone number here. If you don't mind.
I mean, since I'm here, hi.
Hey!
Okay, so my question was, can you elaborate more on the nutrition? Like as a teen, he's 13, just talking about that aspect of like what he should really be putting in his body to help him perform better.
Okay, so Kamal, question for you.
Yeah.
What's your goal?
To become a professional.
Okay, so no junk food, no soda.
I mean,
No.
I can tell you what a day's diet is for Nick.
There you go, this will work. So they can tell you what Nick's diet looks like per day.
And this has been, it was a little bit different when we were over here, but so since we've been in Cyprus, every morning before school he has a smoothie which consists of banana, blueberries, coconut milk, not the one in the can, but the actual one you like put in coffee, okay? And I just blend that up because it's frozen fruit, and he drinks that. That starts his morning. Then he'll have a sandwich mid-morning at school, and then lunchtime is usually like a protein, so like green beans and ground beef mixed together like a stir fry over white rice. Chicken over rice, it's usually like a rice-based dish because that gives him quick energy then for training, which happens at like 4, right after school. And then dinner is usually some sort of pasta with a little protein. And then he's eating fruits and vegetables throughout the day. He does not eat fast food. I think he had McDonald's once when he was 2, and that was because we were in Cyprus and I was craving a hamburger, and so we split one. He's never eaten McDonald's. He doesn't drink soft drinks. He drinks water. On occasion, we do not, it's not like everything, he doesn't ever get anything. Usually after game day on Saturdays, he'll have a meal that he wants, whether it's, a pizza or a hamburger. But, What else?
Right
do we have?
after, I always eat blueberries though, to just,
Oh yeah, if he
Release
does
it all
eat,
after
if
a
he
while.
does eat, like a junk food, which is really not considered, not junk food. We make sure he eats his blueberries or he eats something, to kind of balance it out. He eats a lot of beets during the week. But he does eat a lot of fish, a lot of vegetables, and that's his diet. That he fast food maybe on Saturday. No, there's no fast food. By fast food, I just mean like pizza.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
And we only get pizza from certain places, like no Pizza Hut. None of that. I mean, it's made at this bakery, or I make pizza. Like we don't get fast food, and he doesn't drink soft drinks. He doesn't even drink juice. You just drink water. That's his thing. It makes a difference though, because these 2 weeks he's on vacation, so he's like, oh, I want to eat some of the things that I used to eat when I was here. So we had, fish and chips at Disney Springs last night. But and it affects how they play. It really makes a big difference because his stamina, which he's not showing here, but he played a 90-minute match, and not a lot of professionals even play 90-minute matches because they get subbed out, right? Because they can only go for so long. He has really good stamina for his age and stuff, and I think a lot of it's his diet. But yeah, pasta in the evening because they need pasta to fuel for the next day. I don't know if that helps, but
Does it help, Cole? And Keisha's okay?
Yeah, that helps a lot. What about recovery?
Recovery. What do you do for recovery?
Well, they taught you what you're supposed to do after. What do you do after matches? What do they give you right after a match? What's in the locker
there's
room?
an ice bath in the locker room.
No, but food-wise too.
Oh, they give us pasta. They order pasta.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of
There's little boxes.
takeaway pasta in the locker rooms, and there's also normally there's some type of soda like Coca-Cola or something like that, or Sprite, just so you can get some quick sugar in after the game so you
Electrolytes.
can recover.
But it's different
And-
at the professional level than it is at kids
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
Like,
That they only have it after a game, just so they can recover with some quick sugar. And then when I personally I go home, and maybe the day after I'll use the foam roller and I'll roll my legs out and just that and just rest and a lot of water and sleep.
but at younger age, a good recovery is like eating watermelon and stuff like that. They say after training, like he learned in the academy, after training, they should always have something to eat within 30 minutes after training to start the recovery process. So they, the kids would either have like a cereal bar or like a banana or something like that within 30 minutes to eat after a training session. He didn't start drinking electrolyte drinks though until maybe U16? You started drinking them? But it's not Gatorade and all that stuff. The one that we get in Cyprus is all natural, colors all natural flavors, and it's sweetened with just a little bit of sugar. There's no artificial sweeteners in it. He drinks that, but like I said, when he was younger, it was coconut milk, and sometimes we would add a little bit of orange juice to it. That was the best electrolytes you can give for a kid, because the drinks can have way too much sugar, way too much salt, way too much of the stuff for that size kid. And
So during his younger years, between let's say the age of 8 and 12, what was his pregame meal or drink? Like an hour before the game.
an hour before the game,
You should be eating shit an hour before the game. They do it's a fruit.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like for him, like I said, I give him like spinach, we shred spinach juice or carrot juice.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that
something
is
similar?
good, yeah.
Well, they should-
Watermelon, Nick eats, he'll eat sometimes some watermelon an hour before he goes when they're in season, because it's good hydration, and then the sugar's good quick energy to get going. And then the pasta from the night before then is his energy that sustains him.
I always eat a pasta dish the night before, and then when my games are usually at 2:30 in the afternoon. So what we've learned to do is 3 or 4 hours before I eat my normal meal, maybe some rice dish or something
With a
like
little
that,
protein,
with
yeah.
some protein
Salmon
with
or
it,
chicken.
just so it can digest before the game. And I'll have a light breakfast. Sometimes if I miss that meal, a thing that I'll eat a lot, which I think helps me a lot, maybe 2 hours before the game, I'll eat 3 pancakes with a lot of syrup on it, a lot of maple syrup.
Pancakes.
So are
Pancakes a
you at
good
an
pregame.
altitude difference other than between Florida and sea level? So you're at sea level in New York?
We're up a little bit where we're at, but not too much. Yeah.
Last question I have for everybody, I think this is important. Game days. Like, for example, can you walk through what a first team game day looks like? Because, like, for example, like with club, I've had parents show up 10 minutes before kickoff. Kid comes in the wrong uniform. What does a game day look like at the professional level?
We arrive at the hotel. So our stadium has a hotel that we stay at. So we would arrive maybe at like 7 at night the day before, and we have dinner. It's mandatory where we all have to be there, and so we all eat dinner and then we sleep at the hotel. We have to be in our rooms by like 10:30 or something like that. We all sleep at the hotel. We wake up. The game's normally at, I don't know, like 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and we will have breakfast all together. We'll do some activation, which is like rolling your legs out or some stretching or just like team building, basically. People play like a game or something like that. And then we have lunch, and then we have our specific clothes that we walk to the field with. And if you're wearing the wrong clothes, you get fined. So then, yeah, we all go as a team to the field, and maybe we have an hour and a half before the game, so you can go and you can, again, roll your legs out, or you can walk on the field and get a feel of the pitch. And you just have a lot of time to yourself before the coach comes and talks to you. You can listen to music, do whatever you want just to get ready for the game.
You forgot snack time.
Oh yeah, there's also
And
snack
nap time. You have nap time and snack time.
Yeah.
They
You
have
have time
nap
where you
time.
can
They
go
have
to your-
designated nap time in the afternoon, and there's a snack time.
And then right before we go to the walk to the game, there's a snack time where there's like coffee and maybe like
And
a little
little-
cake
little
or something like
cakes.
that.
But not like cakes with a bunch of frosting on it. It's just like, little, they call it like geography cake, where it's like, yeah, it's just a little cake. Little something. Yeah.
Any final remarks from anybody? I really appreciate you guys taking the time to ask questions in here, because I think it's so important.
My first time to meet a professional player. Thank you.
I think it's so important for people to kind of see that it's possible, because it came from this environment. And like I was mentioning last week, I think it was last week before, I was like, I did it by myself, and now we're building a team of people. You can see, I'm not even running the practice today, but everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. At least, God, I hope so. We'll find out when I walk outside, but we'll find out when I walk outside, but that's why it's a team thing. And most important thing that I'll finish with is it's a village. Like literally, if anybody else's kid's gonna get to that level, it's everybody that's a part of the program being bought in. Parents, kids, staff. I don't mean staff, I mean like people working here, then coaches, then the teachers, and whoever else. It's everybody doing this. If I mentioned one person pulls the opposite way, it can take the kid out of that mindset of, I mean, this isn't for me. But it's possible. It's just everybody on the same page doing this.
And Nick wanted to get Kyle his debut shirt because we really feel like Kyle played an integral role in very important part of Nick being able to go into a club like Apoel and be able to play how he was able to play. So we give him a lot of credit. So you take, I've always said you take a coach like Kyle and you take a player like Nick who wants to work, and you can just make something really special. So it's been fun to watch these two just
That's
help
very,
each other.
very good, and it's inspiration for people who are, and I don't know how far we all are coming from, but especially for me, it's a big thing because it takes a bit of, we had a little bit of rough schedule and going back and forth with Carl, trying to figure out how to settle things on our end. But it means a lot for us because it gives a lot of value from this program, which is great.
Yeah, and it's
We appreciate it.
definitely recommend it. Nick wants Kyle over there in the summertime though, in his off season. We can't make that happen yet.
I'll be coming. Well, that's it. If you guys have any personal questions, you can ask. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to bring your thoughts, questions, and I'll have this available for people to watch later if you want to go back and watch it. Thank you, Nick, and Carrie for taking the time to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, thanks so much.
Taking the time to share your experience.
No problem. You came for me, right? Justin was for me.